Did you guys use, sorry. Did you guys use your majors that like you graduated with for your careers right now?
That is such a great question.
Okay, well, before I let this guy get on the mic, I just want to let you know I graduated double degrees. I graduated from College of Liberal Arts and also from the College of Education. So with me being a teacher, I am definitely using my major, and I just love the fact that with me also being a Black Studies major, it's bringing a whole new perspective to these kids that honestly I feel like it's like changing like lives, and like I love where I'm at.
All right, so I had a completely different experience. I graduated with a BS in biology, in human biology. As you can see from my, my job title, I'm doing absolutely nothing with biology right now.
And what is your job title?
Oh, I'm sorry, guys. So I am a business analyst at a semiconductor company, which is, yeah, it has nothing to do with biology. Like, I promise you it doesn't. But I'm saying this because one thing that I learned, especially during that whole senior year, especially like the last couple of weeks of my senior year, was what is the value of the UT experience, right? What am I really paying for when I am about to get my degree, my 4 years here? And for me, it was the networking piece, and just basically going through 4 years of prepping myself to be a professional in the working world, right? So through my experiences through UT, I was able to meet and connect with multiple people in different avenues, and that's how I landed where I am right now, in the sense of a business analyst at a completely different field that I would normally go into. I'm not saying that your degree is useless. It's very, very important, because I wouldn't be where I am without a degree. So, yeah.
I'm gonna have to agree with almost everything he just said. So for me personally, going through college, I started out as an athletic training major, switched my second year into exercise science, and then found out real hard that I was awful at natural sciences and switched into physical culture and sports. Trying to go towards sport management, but it was kind of late on, so I wasn't able to get it. And for my position specifically with the Austin Spurs, a lot of times they do look for sport management candidates, and I hadn't reached that level. I had a business administration minor, so there's a little bit of a tie in there. But for me, the biggest thing was I had taken on unpaid observation hours with them, so I had gone and volunteered at a couple of the games, they let me shadow in the office a little bit, and I just spent a couple hours shadowing them, asking questions, getting to know them, and ultimately it was my ability to network with the people within the organization that helped me get that job, because it helped me get the interview, and then from there, took everything on. And I can't agree more that for me, the degree is important, and you want to try your best to find a degree for the field you plan on going into, but life happens sometimes, and you're not always going to go in one direction. But the network for me was the biggest part. The network, especially through ULN and our cohort, and trying to talk to people, meet with people. I know sometimes it gets kind of weird when they make you interact with people next to you that you've never talked to in your entire life. But really, that's what the adult world is like. I had a Leander Chamber brunch this morning where I was with 20 to 30 other adults who were all at least 10 to 40 years older than me. The mayor showed us around the council building, and we had a whole networking breakfast. And my ability to network with these people was something that I learned directly from the Leadership Network. So my degree isn't exactly what I'm in, but it is kind of close. But my networking is definitely what's gotten me to where I'm at right now.
So, similar sentiments, yes and no. I graduated with a Black Studies degree as well, similar to Libby. And being in a counselor education program, I have pretty much nothing but psychology majors around me. And it was really kind of daunting at first, because you're learning all these psychological terms that I'm like, I think I took a class once that I know of, but now I don't know. coming from a Black Studies background, I kind of get to bring in a cultural studies background in general. I get to bring in a new perspective to a lot of the discussion I'm having, and it's kind of shaped the way we discuss diversity issues in class. So counselor education isn't really related to Black Studies, but there are ties there that I'm able to bring in and really make a great time of the program I'm in now.
Sorry guys. So I was in your shoes just a year ago, like what, 8-9 months ago. And to be honest, I didn't believe that ULN did anything for me, but give me my yeah, no, like I'm so serious. Like I remember I was on my phone every single meeting. I was not paying attention. I mean, I would talk, but not really. But I really want y'all to understand these things is everything that I remember here in the ULN has come into play in every single facet of my life right now. I really want y'all to understand that, because if I didn't know how to do an elevator pitch, I would not have gotten to know the corporate VP of my company. Like, the reason why I got the job that I got is because I knew how to talk. Well, because I like talking. But I knew how to sell myself. I knew how to use the skills that I received from my biology degree and apply it in a business world. I knew how to do that because we practiced elevator, not peaches, but pitches, and just basic interview skills that actually helped when I was interviewing for the job, when I was meeting with these high-level, C-level VPs and things like that. So I would want y'all to really take into account like what y'all learned in ULM, because it definitely helps for sure. You know, I know like in hindsight, everything seems like, oh crap, I should listen more, or I should pay more attention. So take it from someone who's closer to your age. Man, it's real out there.
I got one more part on your question, Iffy. I got you. So I actually have an example of the network kind of working in our favor even more too. I've worked the kinesiology career fair for the last 2 semesters, which is really cool for me, you know, being my first year out, being able to come back and talk to UT students and get to meet them and see what they're interested in doing. And currently we're looking for a summer internship position geared towards sophomores and juniors. And I actually had a sophomore ULN student come up to me and introduce herself and tell me she was a math major who was thinking about switching into kinesiology, wanted to get into sports and use her math skills for more of the financial or analytical side of sports. And you know, I just asked her what she was involved in and the things she liked to do, and she brought up the Leadership Network, and I immediately was able to say, I just graduated through ULN, you know, I'm part of that first class, and the goal of ULN is to not only get you to graduate on time, but provide you with a network post-graduation that you have the support of and, you know, behind you and in front of you as well. So I think it's awesome that you guys are about to come into our network of alumni now. And, you know, for this girl specifically being a sophomore, she was already able to access that alumni network because I was able to put down a recommendation and tell her, you know, I know what you're going through right now. I've been through that, the experiential learning and the things you're learning. So I know that you would be a good candidate for this position because I would recommend myself, so I'd recommend you too.
I promise I'm not coaching them on these answers. These are
There was a question
legit.
of.
He's paying us.
Yeah.
Oh, we have a question.
Yeah.
I think we have a line of questions. Hold on.
Okay, so after you're graduated, you lose basically like your financial aid and your ULN stipend. So like, how did you manage finances and just like adulting right after you graduated?
Yeah, so I don't know about y'all, but you know, I was about to graduate, you know what I'm saying? Me and my family, like I'm like one of the first people to like graduate, so this was like a big deal, right? So I went over and beyond, like we threw graduation after graduation party, I had everybody come down, I took all the pictures, anyway, I did a lot, but I did find that transition, right, that summer right after you graduate, you ain't got financial aid no more, you know? You have to learn to that you have to pay for rent on your own, and my little job that I had working at the SAC wasn't going to cover it. So I would think about just like right now, right? I know it's that celebration time, you didn't work your butt out, but at the same time, how are we applying our money and saving? Yeah, it's funny because I'm teaching my 8th graders how to save it right now. How are we saving that money to be able to prepare ourselves for that transition? Because unlike this guy, whenever I graduate, I told y'all I had that whole transition and I didn't know what I was doing, but I had at least been able to put enough money to allow me to float for the next 3 to 4 months. And then when I got the job, I was like, oh, okay, you know, I'm good, you know, I can pay my bills. But yeah, that financial situation is a hard time. And one thing I just want to say real quick, because I'm thinking about ULM, y'all know that the money that we get from ULM is like from donors, right? And then their whole purpose in giving us that money is so that we don't have that financial burden. So that when we're in school right now, we can come to ULM and we can focus on our interview skills, our elevator pitches. We can focus on how to market ourselves and network with one another. So while we have that time to hone in on those skills and further develop them, I would really advise that we do that. Like, I don't think y'all understand, like, whenever we get out into the real world, there's other teachers, right? There's other teachers that have bachelor's degrees, but they don't understand certain professionalism skills that I thought was just a given. I thought ULM was just teaching us, like, oh, everybody knows this. Everybody knows how to show up to an interview. Everybody knows how to communicate with parents or in emails. No, everybody does it. Just because you get a degree don't mean that you understand your professionalism skills. So I just really, that just makes me value not only being here at UT, but also being in this program.
So I was broke. I don't know what you're talking about, but I was that broke. Rent wasn't paid at the time. I don't like y'all. So I actually had a very different experience, as Liddy mentioned. So I am a strategic planner, as she would know. I literally plan every single thing to the detail. Like, I mean, like, even, I have this may be too much information. I plan what socks I'm gonna wear weeks in advance. I'm so serious. I am so serious. So, So I had a job lined up, and thankfully it was a pretty decently paying job. So I never had the experience of like, hey, so where's my next meal going to come from? And the reason why I was set up in that, or the reason why I had that, I guess, privilege was because I practiced all these things that ULM was teaching me, like, months in advance. Like, I knew what I was going to do, like, by March of my graduating semester, because I already did the hard work, I already did the legwork to find out what I wanted to do, right? Was it graduate school or was it finding a job, you know? So the transition doesn't have to be hard if you put in the work right now, but at the same time, like with Liddy's experience, you also don't have to know what you want to do. You can still make it through. It's just a little harder, and you'll be more hungry.
For me, as far as working out financially post-grad, entry-level sales in sports is not where the money's at. Honestly, I'll be transparent with you guys. It's kind of a process. You go in, you grind, you spend a couple years, developing and building, and then after a couple years is when you really start to see, the fruits of your labor. For me personally, I've always been through college, through my ULM investment. I didn't spend it the way I probably could have, but it was nice. So I've always been real big on the money as the experience. So if I was ever with friends or with my girlfriend or whatnot, just throwing money for dinner, for food, let me take care of this. Like, I love treating the people in my life. And that's something that I kind of needed to work on my own. And for me, especially post-grad, I found that I love learning things now that I'm not in school. It's awesome. I actually like to read books. It's pretty cool. It's pretty. You find a newfound love for knowledge when you're not in school anymore. So for me, what I found, I ended up actually, searching, finding reviews on different books that would help me. And personally, this book, it's called Broke Millennial by Aaron Lowry. I love that he's read this. So you got 2 out of 4 right now. This is legit. Broke Millennial by Aaron Lowry. I'm almost done with it. What's up?
Rich Dad, Poor Dad as well.
That one too. I love the book. It's geared more towards people our age. It's geared towards things we've been through, experiences we've had, the lifestyles we like to live, and it gives you tips that range from savings to different accounts, savings accounts, checking accounts, paying off student loans, how to find the best rates and the best things. And for me, when I was looking for a financial services book, I was terrified because I was like, this thing's gonna put me to sleep. I'm gonna be bored. It's gonna be just like, oh, it's gonna be awful. And I found this book, and it's literally like I'm talking to a friend when I'm reading this thing, and they're just trying to help me figure out my money. So if there's something specific that you think physically would help you, I would recommend this book, definitely.
Yo, making money feels great. It's awesome. Like, seriously. Saving money.
So I think I was kind of in the in-between of this spectrum right now. I had saved enough of ULM money and scholarship money to pay for like that summer in between like undergrad and grad school. But I was also working my butt off. I had a job all throughout the summer. I took, I think, a month off before my grad program started, where finally I was like, I can breathe, I can relax, I can decompress. In my first semester and up until a couple weeks ago, I was working 2 jobs on top of being a full-time student in grad school. So it is hard. You have to put the effort in. But I will say, in grad school, it is okay to tell your friends you're not doing things. A lot of my friends want to go out, have dinner, because they all have full-time jobs and want to have fun and, they made the money, let them go enjoy it. I didn't have that. I still don't have that. So it's okay to say, no, I don't want to go because I'm broke and I can't spend money on this. So it does take some planning ahead of time, but also be smart about the way you're spending your money, because not having $500 coming in a month kind of sucks. But you at least, you'll be a lot smarter with your money. Once you're put in that position, you'll learn how to make your way through. It's not going to be as hard as you think it is.
Other questions?
Well, my question is, what advice would you give for the interview process for grad school? Like on your experience.
So, advice I would give for the interview process for grad school. For my program specifically, it was really laid back. From what I learned in my process, it was a lot less about, what did you do in undergrad, like what skills do you bring? It's not like a job interview. It's more so, who are you and why do you want to be here? Which made it so much easier to go into. Definitely research the program you want to go into though. Luckily, I went into a counseling program and I have a bunch of counselors as my professors, and they're all super nice people. I think the first thing one of the professors that interviewed me said to me was, hey, I really like your bag, and we spent like 2 minutes talking about this bag I got for Christmas before even like introducing ourselves. So it really kind of does depend on the program you're going into, so be sure to do that research, see what the culture of the program is. I was lucky enough to be going into a program that's very personable. And from the experience I've heard from other friends, it is similar. It's a lot more, what do you want to do and who are you? Not so much, what can you offer? But there's still going to be that little piece. They still want to know, what can you offer? And that kind of ties into, what do you want to do?
So, if I'm not graduating until August, when do I need to start reaching out to different jobs? Because I'm at my internship right now, and I have people around me who are graduating in May, who already have job offers, who are reaching out and stuff. And I feel behind because I know that I'm not graduating until August.
So most jobs, from what I've seen so far, as long as you have most of your credits and you know that you will graduate in August, you can start applying now. I had a couple of engineering friends who applied in January and had the jobs in February, and they didn't graduate till May.
But they'll still hold that spot for you.
Yeah. But again, it depends on which career field that you're choosing to get into. But if you, like, closed mouths don't get fed, right? If you don't actually apply, if you don't actually contact the recruiter, you will never know. So, like, for example, what I did in March was I actually found I had a mentor who worked in that industry. I talked to her, and then she actually connected me to the HR manager, and the HR manager connected me with the hiring manager. Again, I wasn't graduating until May, but I was able to do all the legwork necessary to get the job in March. So.
This doesn't directly tie in with the question. I think he's absolutely right. Look now, you can never do too much research. So the more positions you find that are looking for a hire that later on, the better position you're in to be applying for them. And then one thing I would really recommend is your LinkedIn activity. I think for me personally, this was something that, in ULN, they got us on LinkedIn, they helped us build our profiles and everything like that. But when I graduated and went to my first day in my position in sales with the Spurs, they asked me, what's your SSI? And I was like, what's that? And it's a social selling index. So LinkedIn actually has an algorithm that takes your activity on LinkedIn, so your likes, your comments, your connections, the people you're connecting with, all of your interactions, and gives you a score from 0 to 100. And you can Google it anytime, just LinkedIn SSI. And for me, I think I Googled it and I got, like a 17 or something. And then now I'm at a point where I'm supposed to stay between 60 and 80 with my LinkedIn activity for sales at least. Graduating college, I think I had 200 connections, and they were just my friends, ULN people, things like that. And now I'm at a point from physically the networking events I go to, the people that I meet, I'm closer to 1,000 connections now. And I have recruiters from different companies email me all the time about if I'm interested in positions with their companies. So the more active you are on LinkedIn, the more recruiters see that activity and want to reach out to you and see if you're interested in positions with them. So you can get to a point where you're not only applying for these positions for later on, but you've got companies looking for you later on too.
Yeah, I've been a little more active on LinkedIn. I was also wondering, is it better to put more skills or like less skills? Because I've been adding more
Relevant skills.
relevant skills.
And if you know people, like putting your skills on there is great, but get people to endorse them. People who know you, people who have worked with you, your super old supervisors, things like that. Get them to endorse your skills because it's nice to have them on there, but the more people can say, yeah, this person is like that, the better it looks for you.
Any questions?
Can I have one more comment on that? One more comment on that. Just remember, LinkedIn is a professional network.
Yeah.
So some people do use it like it's Facebook, and it's really not. It's a social site for people who are looking to network, grow their business, grow their personal brand. So just keep that in mind.
Hi, just quick question on the finances again. So there are a lot of financial terms that I'm not aware of, or I don't know the meanings, like 401k, Roth IRA, I guess saving for retirement. How did you guys go about, learning those concepts and then actually practicing them with your finances?
Okay, so I work in the financial sector, so I was kind of forced to learn those terms, right? And some of the best websites that I found was the Investopedia website. It literally has the basics of investing and how to boost your financial literacy. To be honest, I'm pretty sure most of millennials today don't have great financial literacy, which is a huge issue. So I think it's important that every single person in this room should at least know what a 401k is, which is an Investopedia, what are asset classes, what like what is the stock market, what are commodities and things like that. If I was to save this money, how much interest would accrue? What is simple interest? What are compound interest? So a lot of these things you can honestly find on Google and Investopedia, which is something that I use a lot. And YouTube also has a lot of great tutorials on how to save money and things like that as well. So it's very important that you guys start now and understanding these terms. I'm lucky enough that I have mentors who invest in the stock market to kind of like tell me, hey Mike, you probably shouldn't put all your money in one basket. That makes no sense, right? You should definitely diversify. You know, you shouldn't just buy stocks on only Twitter. You know, you probably, like buy stocks on Facebook too. Why not? You know. So again, I'm in a position where I'm forced to learn those things, but it's very important that you guys take charge of y'all's finances, because after you graduate, if you can't pay your bills, then you will be out of your apartment or your house. There is no, oh well, I'm just gonna wait till financial aid kicks in. That's not gonna happen. I'm just gonna wait till your land gives me $500. That doesn't happen. You guys have to be fiscally responsible, and I think, in my personal opinion again, us as millennials don't tend to do that very well, so.
Yeah, so when it came to me signing my contract, right, so not just to touch on financial terms, but there are also like health terms, like when it comes to benefits, right? We don't really talk about benefits that much. I don't know about y'all, but I was under my daddy's benefits in school, so I was like, I got a card, I'll show you my insurance card, that's all you need to know, right? No, if you don't know, and maybe I didn't know what investment, what is Wikipedia, there's Google. There's Google, and Google has been my best friend. I know it's been your best friend. We in college, we know. Google is your best friend. And not only is Google your best friend, so there's one thing for you to get that information yourself and read something, interpret, and be like, okay, so if I do this, this makes sense, or this is what it means to be insured fully, or have to be in my network, get out my network, things like that. But then you have parents, I will hope you have parents, you have mentors, you have people around you who have been in the workforce for a minute now. And I'm pretty sure they can share experiences with you that you probably could not get from just reading online or just looking up and doing research yourself. It's always good, we talk about networking, it's always good to talk with people and be like, well, when you did your benefits, is this how you do it? So when you do your taxes, did you pay for all your taxes out at once? Did you have to pull it out? Just things like that. I found the conversations that are around making very potential adulting decisions helped me a lot, and I feel like I'm starting off on a very healthy foot, and I know I wouldn't be there if I wasn't having those conversations and talking to people. And I was just going to mention something else. Whenever you were talking about what would you do to transition for financially, one thing that's the hardest thing financially is trying to fight the urge to for lack of better words, to stun on people, right? So you got those people on Instagram, right? Well, you look and you're like, oh my gosh, you're like 24, 25. They have their own like 8,000 square foot apartment. They travel everywhere. They do all these things, right? And there's a part of you that's like, man, I can live that life too. I'm a grinder. I can do that too. Well, you can grind later when you're sure that you've gotten there. When you experience what it means to have bills and to save up money and to invest properly, you can have, this is my perspective, y'all. I just feel like you can have that later. So some financial quicks that you can do, instead of whenever you move out and you're in that transition place, you can have roommates. That's something people don't really talk about. There's nothing wrong with you being 23-year-old, just graduated, having roommates. There's nothing wrong with you going back home and live with mom and daddy for a couple months till you get that job so you can live rent-free so that you can save up money. These are just some like real life answers. I just want to be real with y'all, because everything we're saying up here sounds all pretty and everything sounds great to us, but wait a minute. What do you do when you sit there and you're like, hey man, I don't have enough money. I don't have enough money to get my own place. Just be real. Ain't nothing wrong with roommates. If you have to drive Uber, Lyft, y'all know what it is. If you have to do that to be able to get your ends meet, do what you gotta do. And I promise you your hard work will pay off.